Hi, performers and achievers. Welcome to Performers and Achievers Daily with me, Raj Gavurla. In our previous episode, we talked about spiritual contentment plus spiritual progressive overload equals results, outcomes, breakthroughs. And then after that, mental contentment, mental progressive overload equals results, outcomes, breakthroughs. And then comes physical contentment plus physical progressive overload equals results, outcomes, breakthroughs. Learning contentment, learning progressive overload equals results, outcomes, breakthroughs. Then we have execution contentment plus execution progressive overload equals results, outcomes, and breakthroughs. And lastly, we have celebrate contentment plus celebrate progressive overload equals results, outcomes, and breakthroughs. And in each one of those, where are you? Not only where are you, but this comes as a package of five. And so any activity or task or initiative or anything you're pursuing, a goal, a dream, your priority, whatever it may be, it has these five. Now, some of them will be a higher percentage than others. However, these five are present. So, purpose of my podcast is to make you mindful, to focus and have awareness of these five as a package of five, and for you to reflect on them, to reflect on them. And so that's very important for you to do. I may get a little more in depth in each one of those and point out some examples in each one of those as we continue in another episode. However, today's episode is about the importance of your environment and culture, wherever you do business, wherever you work, wherever you play. That's very important. So last night, as some of you know, I am also a professional high school and middle school basketball and soccer official. Last night, I was officiating a middle school basketball game. And as the game was going on, one team was leading the other one by a good margin. And so me and my other official were talking about it and just sort of looking at what each could do to continue progressing. And it's not that the team that was losing wasn't playing basketball, they were. They were just a little better in each one of the areas, and this could have been a competitive basketball game. And the other team, they were just further along. And again, keep in mind that one team, the team that lost, they could really progress a lot further. Everything's there. It's just a matter of using the package of five. And then the other team, they're well advanced. However, how would they respond when they're playing a team that's a little more developed, a little more mature, has a little more skill set? Would they respond with being able to not run the plays as easily as they were? And if so, how would they respond? And so that's important. And then also, where is or what is the environment and culture now that you go to practice the next day with both teams? Regardless of whether your team wins or loses, practice or the next practice has what it is that needs to be worked on, worked through, to develop, to build, and to grow and evolve. And I'm looking forward to officiating this team again, both teams, just to see their progression over the year. Now, in the other game, there was another game, and it was a JV boys basketball game. And this game was a little similar to the first game. Had a team that was coached well, both of them. So coaching matters. Players were good on both teams. Players are good. It's just that the environment and culture on both teams, it makes a big difference. Who the coaches are, the way they coach, who the players are, the way they play. And then how do you bring them all together so that they work together, they play together, they enjoy together, they have fun together. And that's with their environment and culture. So at halftime of the JV game, we left to go into where the officials' room is so that we could take a little break and just discuss what we see in the game and how the officiating's going and what we're thinking is going to happen in the second half and what to look for. Make sure that we're there for the reasons that we are there. We're professional basketball officials. And as we were walking by, the team was meeting, the losing team was meeting right outside of our officials' room, a little bit further down. And so as I was walking into the room, I could hear the coach talking to the players. And the coach definitely was correcting an environment and culture issue. During the game, while their teammates were playing on the court, the teammates who are bench personnel were tearing down their own teammates. They weren't building them up, and they were making comments, saying things about them, and good coaching that the coach talked to them about this at halftime. Now, here's an example of where a need for an environment and culture workshop is needed, or environment and culture leadership workshop is needed. That's very important. And even if this doesn't occur, and you know what? Some players, they may really not have learned that. It's reality. A lot of times people do things and we think that it's just obvious to be this way. However, not everyone had the same coaching, training, teaching, guidance as you. So for you, it might be obvious not to do that. You would never do that. But for someone else who hasn't had that coaching, training, teaching, and guidance, it isn't so. So it's good that the coach addressed this. However, seeing that this did occur, it's as a mental performance coach, I can already see, and I experienced it, that this program needs an environment and culture leadership workshop. And this is when we come in and we take a look at what your why is, what's your MVP process. So the mission, the vision, the core principles or core values. And we do that as a team. And so then we know what is the way to project ourselves when playing on the court, we're bench personnel, and even when we're not playing on the court and we're out there at school, because this is a school team. So a school team will have different environment, culture, leadership. They could go to a different school and their environment, culture, and leadership would be different. When they're at home, the environment, culture, and leadership is different. When they're out with their friends, the environment, culture, and leadership is different. So this isn't a static framework. This is something that is very relevant and very relatable. And this is what makes good coaches, good players. This is what allows them to progress. It allows them to do a little better, to earn a little better, to give a little better, to experience a little better. And so this is very important. And the way you're shaping character, not only character, you're shaping a person's life. These are high schoolers and middle schoolers. And regardless of if it's not high school and middle school, guess what? Adults in their jobs, in their workplace, wherever they may be, this is important to them too. What is the environment and culture leadership? And just because they're adults, their issues are a little different. Not the same as high schoolers and middle schoolers, people in college. They're in the professional world. However, they still need a environment, culture, and leadership framework. And so my bonus assignment for you is, did you do this to benefit your team, the people you work with, your organization, your company, benefit your customers? Because this is what really synergizes and makes you more effective and efficient and makes you more valuable. For you today, if you like my podcast, like it. For those of you who are interested in my private, personal, professional, confidential services and programs, visit my website, rajgavurla.com. Fill out the brief form, and we will contact you as soon as we can. Enjoy your day.